Hi, this is C.B. Whittemore reporting for the Smoke Rise and Kinnelon blog. Ramstein Beer of Butler, New Jersey recently held its first open house of 2010. In the following video, Greg Zaccardi, the owner, gives a tour of the brewery and an explanation of the brewing process. I hope you enjoy it.
Started in 1996, only brewing 2 beers, our Ramstein Blonde Hefeweizen and our Ramstein Classic, which was a Dunkelweizen, a dark wheat. We expanded our portfolios beyond just wheat beers. We now brew lagers specifically, and most importantly today, you guys have the Maibach, which is our lager. It's a rich, malty lager. We brew about 4,000 barrels worth of beer, which is about 8,000 kegs a year. And here at our brewery, not only do we put beer in kegs, we do put it in 12-ounce bottles. And coming this spring, late spring, we'll be doing 22-ounce bottles. So you'll be able to get all of our beers, hopefully in the next coming years, in bottles, as well as on draft. Okay, we started in 1996 after I worked in a brewery in Germany. I did my apprenticeship there and learned the craft, the art, and the science of making good beer, really great beer. And I came back to the United States in the early 90s when microbrewing or craft brewing was very popular in California and Oregon and Washington, and started to become more popular in Middle America. And I thought to myself, I can see the trend coming to the East Coast, and there really was a void in the marketplace for great tasting old world or classic rich style beers. On the West Coast, consumers were buying a lot of those beers and really supporting those breweries. And on the East Coast, we were still drinking Molson and Lowenbrau and stuff that was just not at the level of intensity of flavor and freshness that once was here in the United States, once was here in New Jersey. Most people don't realize this, but New Jersey actually is the birthplace of brewing in the United States. The very first brewery in the United States was in New Jersey. Yeah! Woohoo! You guys, hold your heads high. So, but a few years later, we opened, and we, like I said, we brew about 500 gallons of beer. Brian Baxter there, our head brewer, does brew 500 gallons of beer per day, work day, through this brewing system. 500 gallons equates to about 25, 26 full kegs of beer. All right. We only use 4 ingredients to make our beer: malt, hops, water, and yeast. I'm going to explain to you how we combine all of those ingredients to make the different beers that we do. 3 of the 4 ingredients, you guys should know, are imported directly from Europe. We go right to the source and import them here. The reason we do that is the quality of those raw materials is so high that we can only get them in those small farms in Europe. They're just not available for American farmers yet. And it really is the high quality of those ingredients that translates to our high quality, award-winning beer. The first ingredient is malt, malted wheat and malted barley, brought up to the 3rd floor loft. About 700 to 1,000 pounds of grain, depending on the recipe, are poured into that hopper. The grain gets cracked in the mill. The cracked grain slides down a chute and falls into this tank here, where it mixes with our second ingredient, which is water. The reason why this brewery is located in Butler, not in High Point, even though it's High Point Brewing Company, the quality of the water in Butler is outstanding for making beer. And we have our own reservoir in the borough of Butler. It was actually put together, piped together specifically for this factory complex. In fact, Butler has its own electrical company. Very unique to have both your water and your electrical company owned by your town, owned by your borough. The reason that happened was this building, which is a historic landmark, built right around the era of the Civil War, in an area up here, had, there was no such thing at that time as Jersey Central Power and Light, or some water source or anything like that. So they had to build their own utilities into the borough. And the water quality is excellent. The reservoir is about 1.5 miles up the road, and we come right, the main comes right into this building here. So this is where we mix the cracked grain with the second ingredient, warm water, to create the brewer's mash. Purpose of the mash is to extract that wonderful flavor from the grain. Also to naturally convert the carbs and starches in grain into fermentable sugar. This mashing process takes about 3 to 4 hours, after which time we pump the mash, which has the consistency of warm oatmeal porridge. We pump that mash into this tank. This tank is a big filter. It's a stainless steel screen filter. Holds back the cracked shells of grain and allows the sweet liquid to return to here. In here, about 550 gallons, 600 gallons, depending on the beer we're making, is then boiled. And during that boiling process, what we also do is add hops, our third ingredient. The hops contribute a floral aroma to beer and also contribute a firm bitterness. Depending on the beer that we're making, that determines the quantity of hops that we add. So, for example, our Maibach, which is decidedly more bitter than, for example, our double platinum blonde, which is on today, we add quite a bit more hops to give you that bitterness. If you ever had a real bitter, intense Pilsner or a double IPA, they've added a substantial amount of hops to give you that pop, that hit. Like I said, we make 11 different beers. There are 11 different recipes. Each one has a different degree of hopping to it. The hops are boiled in this liquid for about 2 hours. And after that point, we're ready to transfer this sweet liquid with hop character into our primary fermenters. So what we're going to do here is kind of go in that direction towards 10, grab a meatball and some hot sauce on the way, and I'll meet you over there by those thin tanks.